for you in giant leaps compared to your smartphone's baby steps. Planners are making cities smart today and even smarter tomorrow, delivering the services you need and creating the communities you want. To learn more about smart cities and work with the folks who are putting the power of information to work for you, go to planning.org. That's planning.org. A message from this station and the American Planning Association.
You have some dough. It's lunchtime, but there's no way you would eat just dough for lunch, right? Well, the good thing is, I have some cheese. Your friend has some tomato sauce. This random guy on the street has pepperoni in his backpack. If we bring all these ingredients together, we end up with something much better than any of them alone. A savory pizza for lunch. But each of us has not only different ingredients, but also different opinions coming from our different life experiences. If we bring all these experiences and all these opinions together in friendly, civil conversation, we end up with opinions and ideas that are better than any of our individual opinions before. So if we want to come up with better ideas for a better world, what we really need are civil, civic conversations. Pizzas. It's an American thing. AmericanThing.org.
To find the complete list of prize contest rules for the Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM, visit Zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. Water customers in the Wixon Creek District now have restrictions on outdoor watering. A Stage 2 notice has been issued. For Wixon Creek customers, their website states outdoor watering can be done one specific day per week that's associated with their street address and only on that day between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Bryan police report a drunk driver crashed his car into the city's welcome sign at Texas and Rosemary. The crash on Wednesday night sent a passenger to the hospital where she underwent surgery for non-life-threatening injuries. The driver, 21-year-old Isaac Garcia of Bryan, taken to jail on a charge of intoxication assault causing serious bodily injury. Garcia not injured and no other vehicles were involved. Bryan police responding to a report of a reckless driver stops a pickup with 5 children riding in the bed and 2 more in the back seat who are unrestrained. The driver, 37-year-old Octavio Hernandez Diaz of Bryan, arrested for DWI with children under 15 in the truck. The children's ages range from 2 through 15. Diaz remains in jail at the Hold for Immigration authorities. The next step's been taken to create a real-time crime center at the Brazos County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Wayne Dickey says in addition to reaching out to law enforcement throughout the Brazos Valley, business owners will be asked to provide access to their video security systems. During the last county commission meeting, approval was given to a $229,000 contract for the purchase and installation of computers and software. Texas A&M's Faculty Senate holds a special meeting with the university president regarding A&M's handling of a University of Texas professor who decided against leading the Aggies' new journalism program.
Did Dr. McElroy provide any reasons why she rejected the offer that is still standing?
We have not been contacted directly by Dr. McElroy.
Catherine Banks repeatedly said the university issued only one offer, the one that McElroy signed. Banks also says A&M system lawyers have advised her to not reach out to McElroy due to the possibility of legal action. More news in English and Spanish is at WTAW.com. That's news on the Zone.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and Aggie broadcast sponsors, Pioneer Steel, Rudy's Barbecue, The Sleep Station, and Prosperity Bank. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on the Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Are you feeling run down, sluggish, having difficulty losing weight? You could have low testosterone. It's common. In fact, about 40% of men have low T after age 40. Apex Health in College Station is here to restore your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance. Women can also benefit from testosterone replacement therapy. For a limited time at Apex Health, get your T-test for just $35. Get your edge back with a personalized health plan from Apex Health. Schedule your free consultation today at apexhealthclinic.com.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. According to the News Sentinel, Texas A&M defensive lineman Walter Nolan is in the middle of the NCAA report outlined Friday about violations against Tennessee and former head football coach Jeremy Pruitt. Nolan's family allegedly accepted nearly $3,000 of impermissible benefits from Tennessee during a 4-day unofficial visit in October of 2020. Nolan was one of 6 players to take visits during the period. Defensive lineman and captain Fidel Diggs traveled to SEC Media Days this week and met with the media to discuss the upcoming season. He spoke about the process of being made team captain.
Just learning from the guys that came before me, learning how to lead, just watching guys like Michael Clemens and DeMarvin, how they was leading, I took it and used it.
Diggs was also asked about the strong finish beating LSU to end the season last year.
Just the first, the whole week of practice, those guys, I would say they really got used to playing a lot of games because it was a long season for the young guys. And you look at it, the young guys, the ones that showed up and made a lot of plays in that game.
The Aggie football season will open September 2nd against New Mexico at Kyle Field. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
Each Tuesday at 1:55, I'm joined inside the Charles Schwab studio by April Plemons of Long Way Home Adoptables. We get to meet our mascot of the week, a dog, a cat, an animal looking for a permanent home. The mascot of the week on the Louis Bellina Show is brought to you by Waggy Pet Zone. Have you ever wondered what goes into training a service dog? Well, you can find out inside their service dog group classes. Sign up now. Get more information at waggypetzone.com.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bull crap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him! Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's pro on every level.
It's Nuno and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, records on my demo.
The boys are back, OB. I guess
the boys are back in town.
Part of us,
Bus
at least.
boys.
We lost one of them somewhere.
He's in
the
Colorado.
mix. Yeah, well, I mean, he had flight troubles, right? And then he was pushed back and then just disappeared. So must have figured it out. That being David Nuno, the normal host. This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Nick Savage filling in. I didn't forget to introduce myself this time. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno here with the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, of course, with TexAgs columnist and Heisman Trophy voter Olin Buchanan. And OB, like you said to me earlier today, about 360 more days until SEC Media Days 24 in Dallas.
360 days before I have to worry about it again. I'm so glad it's over. It's a grind, isn't it? You found out what a grind it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got back to the office, me, Jamie, and Richard yesterday at 10:30, and didn't get in bed last night till like 11:30-ish, 11:45. So,
yeah, but that's not that big a deal because you young people are out till 1 and 2 in the morning the next day, like on Friday. So, but it's that grind of and never being outside.
Yeah,
I think that makes you tired when you're in a hotel all day.
Yes.
And just one coach after another. And this year, they weren't as entertaining. I thought Sam Pittman was good. Kiffin had some funny lines, but you don't have the Steve Spurrier. You don't have, of course, unfortunately, Mike Leach. Some of the great personalities that are a little different, to break up the monotony. So But you know what? It beats digging a ditch.
Yeah.
And the travel gave us a chance to run into some TexAgs folks.
Oh, yeah.
I know some were in. Met a guy. Oh gosh, I can't think. In the first night in the hotel, and I sat down with he and his wife. We talked for a long time. Gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Because I'm old. And then yesterday, hey, shout out to Randall. No, was it Randall? Randy. Shout out to Randy from Georgetown that I talked to on the flight, and shout out to Cody that I talked to at the baggage claim yesterday. Big TexAgers, and what do we say? We love our TexAgs family because without you guys, without our listeners, our readers, our subscribers, we don't have jobs. So thank you so much.
OB, the celebrity. It felt like everywhere we were going, people were coming up to you, and I know Randy took a picture with you, and I didn't know that you ran into somebody on Sunday, but
yeah. Oh gosh, and why can't I'm so disappointed that I'm forgetting the name. You know?
Long week. It's okay.
Well, and plus, a lot of times I forget what I had for lunch, because senior moments.
Yeah.
I blame everything on senior moments. My wife tells me to take out the trash, and I don't do it. And I had a senior moment.
Yeah. By the way, it is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We are TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers, and we're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Don't know if I said that earlier. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno here on the Friday after SEC Media Days. Like I said, we're back in the studio, obviously, after that busy week. But 43 more days until Aggie football, getting closer and closer. I feel like 43. I have to start a countdown now because I mentioned it yesterday. But I think it's like 30-ish until we get actual week 0 college football. And the best game coming then, I believe, is Florida and Utah. Every other game is kind of...
That'll be interesting. I have a policy that I have to admit sometimes I deviate for. So it's more of a guideline that I always take the SEC team in a non-conference game.
Fair.
Because more often than not, you're going to... And like even last year, I took Florida, I think, against either that or I said that I usually have that policy. And Florida somehow beat Utah. And that didn't Utah win the Pac-12?
They did, yeah.
And Florida also ran in the East. And that, once again, illustrates the power of the SEC. And yet, I don't know who I'll take in that game this year. Utah and Salt Lake City.
Yeah, no more Anthony Richardson. That is a tough one.
They got Graham Mertz,
yeah,
who was a mediocre quarterback at Wisconsin largely against the soft Big Ten West. And if you can't win against the Big Ten West when you're at Wisconsin, where can you win?
Yeah, not exactly sure. So I guess moving on here, OB.
You moving on from Wisconsin?
Yeah. What exactly was your favorite part of Media Days, if I can ask? If there was a favorite.
Well, again, I thought Sam Pittman was kind of funny. I thought, he stopped trying to be funny. He's just kind of this
goofy
down
dude,
home.
yeah.
No, he's not goofy. He's kind of just a down home country boy that knows how to coach football and gives straight answers and brought some common sense to Arkansas after that. They're the ridiculousness of Chad Morris and Brett Bielema, but for me it still goes down to I thought it was really funny when Anaya Smith was asked about playing Texas by some guy that obviously doesn't know that he's a senior.
Yeah.
And then when he says, all I got to say is horns down.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. I thought Jimbo was good, even though, I still think he sent mixed messages on the Petrino issue, and that rubbed a lot of our TexAgers wrong way, and okay, that's fine. You could just come out and say, yes, Bobby Petrino's going to call the plays, end of story, instead of, hopefully he will. Like, wait a minute, hopefully? Who decides that? So, but even that was a favorite part of me because it became the talking. It was the primary talking point. Texas A&M,
absolutely, yeah.
for better or worse, was the subject of the primary talking point of the entire. Georgia, they had to talk about, driving too fast and all their issues with that. And, gosh, I can't. I'm sure Saban had something interesting, even though right now I can't remember.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I can't think of anything.
But the primary, good or bad, the primary talking point, the primary point of discussion for not just for Texas A&M, was for everybody, was Texas A&M.
So going back to that, do you think there's value in like not being crystal clear in that? Do you think it's like kind of keeping your cards close to your chest type of thing?
No, because here's why. When you go play, you're not going to be playing an SEC team for a month. It's the fourth week when you play. Mm-hmm. You think, these are the best coaches in college football. Yeah. You think they're not going to figure things out?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think so. Do you really need to do the okey doke to beat New Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
And really, you shouldn't need it to beat Miami, and you sure don't need it for ULM, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the way I take it, and I could be dead wrong, but this is my theory on because now Jimbo will then go on Feinbaum and say, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely."
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jimbo Fisher, in his heart, really believes this is going to be not just a good year, but a big year for Texas A&M, really good year. Get excited about that, because I think he's looking at things, and I think he thought he was going to have a really good year last year, and then they had all the injury situation and all those things. But I think that he really believes it's going to be a really big year, and he just wants to remind everybody, hey, I'm in control of this, not somebody else.
Yeah,
I'm in control of this.
I do want to bring that back up, just the fact that you think he thinks that, because if at least a lot of the interviews we got over the week, it seemed like a lot of the analysts and personalities were a little bit higher on A&M than I would have expected, at least. But let's save that for the next segment. We'll go around the room here. I don't know if Dalton wants to talk, so we'll start over in the social center. Kennedy Cabin
who always
is
wants
hanging out.
To talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Kennedy,
love talking.
Good morning. Happy to see you again.
That was really southern. Did y'all hear the accent? Happy to see you too, Nick, by the way. Thanks for that compliment. That was sweet.
Yeah.
I'm so glad y'all are back. It was a little lonely.
Were you here every day? Pretty much?
I was here every day, but I was not in the fishbowl every day.
I got you.
I've been working on events because we got preseason kickoff coming up.
I think I'm still kind of thrown for a loss by brunette Kennedy Cabin, because she was blonde Kennedy Cabin.
It's time to get used to it, Olin.
Yeah.
She's here to stay.
I do want to say thanks to OB, thanks to like Kennedy, Kay, Brighton, Cade, Zoe, Dalton, everyone that stayed here at the mothership and was just pumping out
cast of
content, just helping us out, get everything out, and putting out Twitter videos for us, YouTube videos, all that good stuff. They did a great job while we were gone, and it made it a lot easier for us.
The key to success, I believe, is finding good people and letting them do their jobs.
Absolutely.
That's very true, Olin.
So
it's not that hard.
Yeah, let's let Kennedy do her job. Kennedy, do we have any texts?
Yeah, so on the flip side of that awesome compliment, we do have some people complimenting y'all. Not on the flip side, but kind of like, what I don't know if y'all know what I meant, but I know.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, anyways, Steve and College Station said, shout out to the TexAgs crew in Nashville. Great job this week, especially the guests you were able to get on air on Radio Row.
You're welcome.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I'm just kidding.
That was
wow.
Largely Nick Savage. I saw him running up and down the Radio Row chasing people.
Doing something that I'm extremely uncomfortable with, and I felt like paparazzi, and I hated that, but that's why Billy sent me. That's why he let me go to that awesome trip.
I was thinking more stalker.
I want it
than paparazzi.
Sure. That is equally as accurate.
Well, there were some incredible guests, so you did great, Nick.
Thank you.
Dan, class of 76. So there's like a gnat flying around.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. It's okay. It's my pet.
Dan, class of 76, said, I texted David immediately after the sign-off yesterday, but now I can tell you guys that you're back in the studio. That was the best SEC media days ever done by TexAgs. I listened to it from minute 1 to last minute.
Well, thanks for listening in, Dan. We appreciate that.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have a question for you, Nick.
For me specifically?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
An unnamed person said, who was Nick Savage's favorite interview of the week?
Let's see. Was that my mom that texted in? Let's just double check. No, it wasn't. Whoever this is. Marty Smith was awesome. We're going to play him a little later. He was on the live show, so I want to rerun it, though.
I like the guy from Arkansas.
Yeah, John Neighbors, pardon me. He's good.
I liked when we asked him about what do the people from Arkansas think about Bobby Petrino coming to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved his answer.
His answer was
like, well, do you want? I'm going to give you the honest answer.
Yeah.
And he's like, it scares the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And then he went on and on. So I like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely exciting. Dalton, we're going to check in with you behind the glass. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, y'all just keep doing the show.
Yes, sir. We'll do. Well, on that note, we'll hit our first break here, and on the other side, OB, we'll kind of dive into what we talked about just a second ago. But anyways, this is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We'll be right back.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Enjoy a great meal and support a great cause at the Bryan College Station Tip-A-Cop 2023 fundraiser being held Monday, July 24th through Thursday, July 27th at Texas Roadhouse. Officers will be accepting cash, checks, and credit card donations. Registration is still open for the Arts Council of Brazos Valley Youth Summer Camps program. Visit acbv.org for more information and to sign up. The next Bush Library movie night is Friday, August 11th, featuring Little Giants. Games and snacks begin at 7. The movie starts at sundown. The Brazos Valley Veterans Memorial Board is accepting applications to add military veteran names to the Wall of Honor. The veteran may be living, deceased, or active and does not have to be a Brazos Valley resident. Visit bvvm.org for more information. Every Tuesday at 1:55 on the Louis Bellina Show, meet the mascot of the week with Long Way Home Adoptables, and thanks to Waggy Pet Zone. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Let's talk a little Fargo. So I'm going to go bland on the spot because OB's not here, but Fargo's isn't bland at all. You guys know. That's the place. I owe my buddy Philip lunch there. He's like, hey, let's go to Fargo's. I was like, let's do it. My brother's in town, so I got some stuff has changed in my schedule. But I'm going to take him. We're going to go. We're going to enjoy whatever day we go because they have specials every friggin' day that they're open. They're not open on Sundays and Mondays, but when they're open on a Tuesday, you know you're going to get great food. Today, rib tips only offered and served on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Once they are gone, they are absolutely gone. Tomorrow, you want to go there and get the chopped beef on a baked potato. They also have beef ribs on Wednesday and Saturday. You got Thursday, pork chops, mac and cheese. You know how I feel about the mac and cheese. The green beans, the red potatoes. Friday, it is the 4 C's. You got crunchy catfish, or what is he? How does OB say? No, he says crunchy hush puppies, excuse me. You got the catfish, you got the corn, the coleslaw. And then Saturday, they got the beef ribs on Saturdays and Wednesdays. It is the place to go to get your grub on. I'm telling you, you'll love it. They've been around for 22 years. Football weekends, office parties, weddings, anniversaries, funerals, and dinners. Any gathering or celebration done the right way. It is Fargo, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town. That's their trademark because it's true. Go check it out. It's Fargo's.
The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
Tyler Conklin, Jets tight end with us.
You know, bringing Aaron in and how you are outside of football is going to help on the football field, right? If life's good outside of football, if you're happy outside of football. I think he's excited to be in New York, and I think that's going to directly carry over to him playing good football.
Wyndham Clark, 2023 U.S. Open champion, joining us.
It's still a little surreal. I just got off a plane about 3 hours ago, and I'm here now. So it's been a whirlwind.
The great Rick Fox, ladies and gentlemen, 3-time NBA champ.
I don't think he's going to move and let Florida Trailblazers just get the value for him, move him on to greener pastures, do him a favor by moving off of him, and get a bunch of picks and a bunch of players.
Atlanta Hawks assistant coach and former Notre Dame basketball coach Mike Bray.
23 South Bend winners. I'm in Atlanta now. I think this is going to work. I'm into this.
Listen in to ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio, 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Hey, welcome back in. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. And we're actually about to go out to an Aaron Murray interview that we got on day 3, I believe. We're gonna jump to that instead. But before we do that, I'm gonna get the chance here to thank the Charge Apparel. They sponsored the trip to SEC Media Days. They're Aggie owned and operated. They offer premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram at thechargeapparel or Twitter at thechargebrand. So we'll go ahead, throw it to that Aaron Murray interview. And David, recently we had him, or played a clip of him on the program, and he was mentioning that A&M was little brother to Texas and all this. So Nuno got a chance to ask him what exactly he meant by that, and they just had a pretty good conversation about it. So here is Aaron Murray from Radio Row.
All right, we're here with Aaron Murray on TexAgs Radio. Aaron, all right, I got to ask about last night.
Yep.
Billy was out with you guys.
Yes.
There's a video that surfaced. It's hilarious. You couldn't hear what he said directly, and you're like, "You're wearing my shirt, bro."
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, so I didn't want to go on stage, and all the guys, Billy and some of serious guys and ESPN guys were like, "Oh, just go on stage, go on stage." So I went out there and kind of up, dancing a little bit, and the performer, the guy looked at me and goes, "Hey man, what's your name? What's your name? How you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's my name. You're wearing my jersey, man. What are you talking about?" So it was fun, and just makes you feel really, really old at the end of the day.
Well,
that, we've had a couple really good 11 since me. Obviously, Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Arian Smith now, obviously number 11. So a well-represented number at the University of Georgia.
Well, all right. So I got to, I guess, really start with little brother. That a couple weeks ago that went viral, and Aggie fans were upset. So just I want you to kind of chit-chat about what you meant about that, because we at A&M don't feel that way, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And what I think what Aggies would tell you is the history between the two programs. People don't take into account we were an all-male school for a huge part of all of Texas' success. And also the Longhorn Nation or Longhorn Network's going away. So I just preface it with that.
100%. Listen, I love the I'm hoping this is a game that I think everyone, for the SEC's sake, happens every year. And it should happen every year. And then, I thought my counter T-Bob came up with kind of said it too. It's unfortunate A&M didn't have this game for the past decade. Because I think it would be a very different narrative right now as Texas joins the SEC, because Texas A&M has been the better team over the past decade. They've had the Heisman winner. They've had more successful seasons. So I think it's a big year for both teams. I mean, it's a big year for a lot of SEC teams that are kind of fighting to put their stake in the ground. The teams that aren't Georgia or Alabama or LSU, teams like A&M, or even I would say below A&M, the Kentuckys of the world, the Ole Miss, the Missouris, teams that are fighting to get the 7-8 wins. I think you guys are legitimately fighting to get 9, 10, 11 wins and have an opportunity to win the conference. But when you add teams like Texas and Oklahoma in, not everyone can eat. Not everyone can win. So I look at it more from a sense of, going back to your question about Texas and Texas A&M, I grew up weird enough. I don't know how this happened. I grew up a Texas fan.
Okay.
I actually think it was on a video game where I was 9, 10 years old. I created myself as a quarterback, and Texas had Roy Williams at receiver. So they had the best receiver. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put myself on Texas because they had the best receivers. Yeah. And somehow I just fell in love with Texas. And, I should be salty because they're one of the few schools that didn't offer me a scholarship. But I've always viewed Texas as this big brand. Mm-hmm. And I do think nationally there is an image of Texas as this monster brand where A&M doesn't have that, and no disrespect, but maybe it's just because the championships aren't there. Maybe it's the guys like Vince Young and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a critical first 5 years when Texas comes in of essentially asserting who is that dominant team in the state.
Do you feel like the Johnny years kind of started to change that conversation, though, because he was such
he was a brand
himself, and the success didn't follow too much afterwards, but there have been these blips, and that's been
Yes.
the inconsistencies, I think.
Well, and it's the same thing. I talked about this. That's all. Isn't that Auburn?
Yeah.
I mean, Auburn has these blips where Auburn, I remember my freshman year, Auburn won the national championship with Cam. They won the Natty. Then they were crap for 2 years. I mean, we would beat the brakes out of them, like 38-0, 45-7. Then all of a sudden, senior year, they're back in the national championship. Like, but they're not. But who runs the state? Alabama. Obviously, Alabama's been Alabama in the national championships, but Alabama has a richer tradition, richer history. That's kind of how I view Texas A&M, where Texas hasn't been obviously as consistent as Alabama, nowhere near it, but from a history standpoint, they have been. Where A&M to me feels a little bit more like Auburn, where you have the every few years, bam, we're there, and then the drop, and then bam, we're there, the drop. Like, they just need to build consistency to kind of get out of that, and then I think there's more of a legitimate conversation.
So if this year is a good year for them, and I think it's going to be,
a
a 9-win, 10-win season, then what? Because now you're talking about these youngsters that were first year last year, second year, third. Now we're talking you're building something.
Yeah, I think they can compete for more than that. I know kind of right now the expectations in this room, and I've heard a lot of people say 8 wins and A&M should be happy. I don't know, man. Like, I think the West is incredibly competitive this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously LSU I think is stacked. I had an opportunity to cover their spring game. I think they're really talented on both sides of the football, and you got a great quarterback. I think there's a ton of questions at Alabama. I don't trust any of the quarterbacks at all.
Right.
They'll probably prove me wrong, but right now I don't. I think you look at A&M, and I feel good about Connor. I feel good about Max as a backup. Like, I like Max at LSU. Seeing Max play as a freshman at LSU, I was like, man, that kid has got talent, and he's only a freshman. Like, he's going to get better. And then obviously the injury derailed that a little bit last year with you guys. But I think you have 2 good quarterbacks that should have a good competition in fall camp. You got the receivers, you got the offensive line, you got the guys on defense. Like, there's no reason to me that A&M, who beat, as you guys know, you beat Alabama 2 years ago. You were a play away from beating them last year. You have talent to beat the best of the best. They should be in the conversation to win the West this year. I think 9-10 wins are right there for them. So they're going to be in the conversation. But like I said, it's a competitive West. Ole Miss is going to be good with Jackson Dart and Judkins. Mississippi State's got a big question mark. That's an interesting one right there. You just don't know what the offense is going to look like. But Arkansas has KJ returning and Rocket. So that's the difficult part. But they should be right there. I like A&M this year.
Let me ask you about Tennessee, because I feel like they're going to take a step back because Hendon Hooker was that amazing.
Yep.
But are they a legitimate threat to Georgia, considering Georgia's kind of new, even though they have all the talent in the world, and they're trying to do something that nobody's really done?
Yeah. Tennessee may take a step back if Kentucky is really good, which Kentucky has a chance. I mean, depending on what Devin Leary looks like, but they got great receivers. Yeah, they got to get more physical with the offensive line. I think that's going to be their big thing this year. But never can count out Mark Stoops and kind of the program he's built. But call me crazy, but I like Joe Milton. I covered Tennessee a couple times last year, and I've talked to Hendon a bunch and the coaching staff actually about him, and they said, man, the mental strides he has taken while living with Hendon as his roommate. During the season, the way he played versus Clemson in the bowl game, I'm like, man, this kid's pretty damn good. And they got talent at receiver. That kid from Oregon is supposed to be an absolute freak at the receiving spot, too. He's going to replace Jalen Hylett as kind of their downfield threat. You got Squirrel returning and a couple other guys. So I think the defense is built more depth.
Yep.
I love the tenacity in which they play on that side of the football and how aggressive they are. So I do think Tennessee is a threat. And you're playing at and Neyland for that game late in the season. So to me, that's the only team on Georgia's schedule that does worry me a little bit because, they can possibly score points. I know Georgia's kind of figured out the offense the first couple go-arounds, but they're going to be able to score points, and it's on the road.
Aaron, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
And that was Aaron Murray with David Nuno from Radio Row at SEC Media Days 2023. We're going to try to get him on the program here sometime later on in the season. That was kind of the goal with all the big guests we were talking to, is figuring out a way to get him on once again later in the fall. So we're looking forward to chatting with Aaron on that. We're going to go ahead and hit a break, and we'll be right back. This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
The TexAgs way. If you come at the king, you best not miss. It's TexAgs Radio with Liucci and Nuno.
But right now, we're talking Chance McClain and Heritage Films. I say his name It's kind of like, Gallery Furniture, you think of Mattress Mac. David Gardner's Jewelers, you think of David Gardner. Like there's certain, Jason Rollo with Rollo Insurance. I say Chance's name with Heritage Films because you're dealing with the guy, right? There aren't other people. I mean, yes, there are other people in the company, but you're dealing with the brains of the operation when it comes to Heritage Films. When we're doing a documentary film about your family, you want it done the right way. A lot of you probably haven't even thought about having one done other than when you hear the spot, like, documentary? Really? Why? There are many whys. One, to honor somebody important in your family. One, to preserve your family name and the stories that has made up your family. All right? There are several reasons why you do it. And if you haven't really considered it yet, you should call Chance up and just talk to him about what it would take. Like, when can you do it? How does it work? Like, I'm giving you some of the specifics. Chance can go directly into those storylines and really answer them for you. He's very creative, done movies, radio shows, Broadway musicals. He's done a little bit of everything. That's why he's such a phenomenal storyteller. Call him up. He'll answer if he's not on the shoot. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. Check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. It's Heritage Films.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning, knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair, getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. 979-452-6000.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on the Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to go ahead and here in a second throw it to the Peter Burns interview we did with him on Radio Row, but I want to go out to the A&B text line, Real Texas Banking first, and Matt in San Antonio chimes in and says, surprisingly, I really like the Aaron Murray interview. While I'm still not a fan of him using the term little brother to describe us. I'm not super upset at it as they have been better than us historically, but that matters to me more. What matters to me more, is the present, and he seemed very optimistic about the potential in College Station for a 9 or 10 win year. And Matt, that's kind of what I was hinting at earlier. It was kind of weird to see how opinions were changing on the Aggies throughout the week, because going in, you expected, okay, coming off of 2022, you expect people picking A&M in the, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in the West. Who knows where they have them? But a lot of the guys we were talking to and gals were high on Texas A&M. So surprised at that. OB joining us again. I guess we can pick that. Perfect. I just read a text from Matt in San Antonio who said, he doesn't like Aaron Murray. We just played Aaron Murray's interview where he explained why he uses the term little brother to describe A&M, Texas, and whatnot. But, Matt was just saying he expects us to be better within the next 10 years, and I think that was kind of the sentiment with all of the analysts at SEC Media Days is at least this coming season they expect A&M to be, in contention.
I think it's really disrespectful to call anybody so-and-so's little brother. If anything, I don't know about you, but do you have a little brother?
I am the little brother.
Did your mother ever make your older brother take you or older sister take you somewhere? Take your little brother with you.
Yeah.
Well, in that context, since A&M is forced to bring Texas with him to the SEC, it seems like Texas is the little brother.
Yeah.
So I think I would have loved to have been in on that. I didn't get to hear that exchange, but I would love to really push Aaron Murray more on that. I think anybody that's paying attention looks at A&M in Texas. You can see that A&M has been the better program for the last decade. Just beat them. Mm-hmm. And like I've said before, if you want to call A&M the little brother, fine. But just remember that, Michael Corleone was Fredo's little brother. Vincent Chase was Johnny Drama's little brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I just look forward to next year and they'll come over and kick their butt.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then ask guys like Aaron Murray, who's maybe the little brother, maybe going to be just be their daddy. Who's your daddy?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll go ahead and actually keep it right here, not throw it to that Peter Burns interview. We'll get it in just a little bit, but. What are your takeaways on a lot of the analysts kind of, picking? I've seen a few guys tweet out their predictions for standings and whatnot, and a few of them got A&M in the 2-3 in contention.
I think it's what, kind of what we talked about on the off season. And when you're several months away from the season, you just talk about, Jimbo Fisher failed this, and look how bad they were. As you get closer to the season, and you start actually taking the time to sit back and analyze, and you go, now think about this. I'm a guy. Let's say I'm a guy, a national writer, or even a regional writer that's spent the last several months, and all I'm doing is reacting to last season. I'm going to react to what happened last season for 3 months. That's what you do. And now it's time to really start making your projections, and you start to say, okay, they've got 10 starters back on offense and 7 or 8 starters back on defense.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were 5-7. But 5 of those losses were by a touchdown or less. And how many? And they were playing this amount of freshmen, and they were playing this amount of. They had this amount of injuries. Oh, man, they had a ridiculous amount of injuries. And all these freshmen, wait a minute. And that Wigman guy looked pretty good, and that Max Johnson guy's been good. And you start, that Anaya Smith guy's coming back. And then you start really analyzing the data.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, they got Alabama coming in. They got Auburn coming in. Mississippi State, they always have trouble and start, Mississippi State's coming here. And then you start thinking, but Alabama, wait a minute, what's their quarterback situation like? And you start analyzing it and putting it on paper, and then you start saying, wait a minute, I'm not, and this is fair, I'm not ready to say that they're going to win because they have to prove it on the field that they can win the big games and even the small games.
Yep.
But they got to prove that they can actually win in Baton Rouge. They haven't done that in a couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
But I see them they got a new coach at Mississippi State. Ole Miss has some issues, and you just keep looking at it and analyzing the data, and you say, you know what, these guys could be a lot better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happened as you get closer to the season and you stop focusing on what happened last year and start analyzing what could happen this year, and that's where the names get where some opinions get changed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I guess let's switch it up to the entire SEC now. Does that happen for you, or did it happen for you, I should say, for any other teams, in the SEC, just based on talking to other folks, or hearing from the coaches? Did your opinion shift?
For me, maybe some things. Maybe I think Arkansas might be better than. I've talked to some Arkansas guys. They're saying, look, everybody knows they got the best quarterback in the league coming into the season, and maybe the second best running back, maybe the best, but widely regarded as the second best. But you say, well, yeah, but what else do they have? And then you start here, well, their offensive line, they don't have Stromberg. Yeah, but that's Sam Pittman, who's an elite offensive line coach. Jimbo Fisher wanted to bring him here. Nobody's going to argue that. So they'll have a good offensive line, if not a great one. You're like, okay, that's fair. And then Sam Pittman at least sounds like he feels like they solved some problems in their defensive line. I would not go so far as to say I'd pick them in the top 3, but I kind of started coming around to the idea that maybe they're going to be not a pushover. I still think they're going to be terrible defensively. Maybe terrible's too strong. I think they're going to be vulnerable defensively. And whatever's between vulnerable and terrible, that's where Arkansas, I think, is going to be defensively. And I've been argued that Mississippi State's going to be better than people think.
Really?
Yeah. That's still Will Rogers at quarterback. They always find receivers. I know Mike Leach isn't going to be them. That's different. But they got a ton of guys coming back. They've got a ton of experience. And, if you have an experienced team, and that team, won 9 games last year. And that's an experienced team coming back. So I think I picked them 4th. And those, not that anybody cares, but those media rankings are going to come out today, media predictions, and I believe that A&M will be predicted 3rd in the SEC, and that's fair.
Yeah, I think so
fair.
too.
Somebody might have put them first, but most people are going to put Alabama first because they're Alabama. And until A&M shows they can win in Baton Rouge, you have to be. I think it's fair to be apprehensive about it.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to get a chance to rank. Turn in
so
my
how'd you
poll.
vote?
I took it seriously. There's part of me that wanted to kind of just be silly and throw some crazy ones.
So how'd you vote?
So I put at least championship game. I have Bama and Georgia.
Okay, so you picked Bama to win the West.
The West, yeah. I got Georgia in the East.
Was that the easiest pick of all time? Pick Georgia in the East.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I had A&M 3rd. I picked them 3rd. Yeah, LSU 2nd. And I think another thing I've heard a lot over the past week is after those top 3 teams, 4 through 7 each side, 4, whatever it is, it's just.
I think 4 and 5, in my opinion. We'll see how this comes out. I think 4 and 5 are going to be Arkansas or Mississippi State. I put Auburn last.
Yeah.
And I think Kentucky is the team to watch to finish 2nd in the East.
Okay.
Kentucky.
That's a team that
people keep trying to sell me on Joe Milton at Tennessee, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to see it with my own eyes. And if I do see it, if Josh Heupel is such an amazing coach that he can take Joe Milton, who's been an average quarterback 4 years, however long he's been playing college football.
Hey guys.
Yo.
We got a little breaking news here.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, we probably should have played it. Texas A&M Chancellor John Sharp announced today that Dean Mark Welsh will be the acting president of Texas A&M University, as current president M. Catherine Brink submitted a letter of resignation. So let's do this. Let's take a break right here, and then let's come back on the other side and get Billy Liucci's thoughts. We'll give him a call.
Awesome. Sounds good. Perfect. We'll do just that. Again, hearing from Billy Liucci on the other. This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Brazos Valley Museum of Natural History invites you to join their annual live butterfly release on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. Supplies are limited, so call the museum to reserve your spot today. Cowboy Fellowship of Aggieland welcomes the community to celebrate National Day of the Cowboy this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Chuck Wagon biscuits, cowboy coffee, and lemonade will be served. Happy birthday to the Brazos Valley African American Museum. Come celebrate 17 years on Saturday from noon to 4. Visit the museum for free admission, refreshments, and book giveaways. You're invited to the Fun for All Bowl-a-thon, benefiting the Fun for All Playground on Saturday, August 19th at Grand Station Entertainment. Register your team today. Find more information at funforallplaygroundbcs.com. Go in the pit with Bryce Jones on the Louis Bellina Show each week, thanks to Dixie Tire Company, serving Bryan College Station for 35 years. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Right now, we're talking Costa Vida. That's Holly's place. It's great. Go check out Holly and her crew there. Holly and Nick do wonderful work out there, and it's just awesome food to go get here in South College Station. Go check it out. Fresh Mex done the right way, and they're open all day, right? You know, you go there for your breakfast, get your breakfast tacos, your great coffee. If you need to have a meeting, that's a great place to have a morning meeting, get good food. And then if you want to stick around for lunch, great food as well. Like, it's fresh, done right in front of you, and they got great stuff on their specials out there. They have the chili lime chicken for a limited time. They're going to have this throughout the month of June, and if you guys keep buying it, maybe they'll be able to keep it around a little bit longer out there. And we are still in baseball season, and Ryan Targac, the Targa with the homer yesterday, they got the Ryan Targac combo there. So wonderful to go check it out and eat and enjoy awesome food. And catering for any kind of party you may be having, wedding, they can take wonderful care of you with all their Fresh Mex food done the right way. It is Costa Vida, fresh there in South College Station. Go say hi to Holly and the crew and check it out. It's Costa Vida.
Welcome back to school, everyone. This is Vice Principal Smith here to go over the school zone rules. Now, parents, let's remember to stop and yield for people walking in crosswalks, obey school zone speed limits, watch for kids who may dart into the street, and please put your phone away. And again, please don't honk at me in the carpool line. We're all trying our best out here. Thank you.
Be safe. Drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
Everything in life has rules, and the Zone has prize rules for all contesting. You can check them out at zone1150.com. You may know you can win once every 30 days. There can only be one winner per household per month. You have 30 days to pick up your prizes. You have to be 18 or older to win. You have to present a legal ID to claim your prize. All prizes are non-transferable and not for resale. To make sure you do know all the rules, or if you have any questions about the prize rules, make sure to visit zone1150.com.
Zone1150.com.
And we're here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. It's the Go Hour presented by CC Creations. We're going to go right out to the hotline and talk to TexAgs co-owner and executive editor Billy Liucci. Billy, breaking news coming down. Texas A&M University President M. Catherine Banks resigns. Just your initial thoughts on that.
Pretty, I guess not shocking. There's been recent, with everything going on lately, even, most recently with the journalism school and all that, I think, I wouldn't say shocking, because unfortunately we've grown used to this type thing at A&M, but disappointing to see. Again, the one thing I just keep leaning on, and I don't know, and anybody that tries to decipher this, typically the problem is it's one-sided. You're either hearing one side of the story or the other, and rarely are we seeing someone, it's not what I cover, this turnover at the president's position or the politics of the university. But all too often, I think we see one side of it in these stories because it's being spoon-fed from one direction. There's agendas at play. People want one thing out. I'd love to see a story with both sides to this, is what I'd like to see. We got music back there?
It sounds like it. Can we get that?
I'll keep talking.
Turned? Yeah, just go over it.
So without going too much and expressing too much of an opinion as to the why, when you don't really know the why and the reasoning behind it, I will say this. My initial take upon hearing the news this morning, and yes, obviously that's what I was posting about about a half hour ago. Nick, there's just entirely too much turnover at the top of this university, and it matters. And I put that it's not sports related, but it is. You look at the most successful programs, and I think you'll see a lot of stability not only at head coach, but athletic director and university president. I mean, these are very important positions. The president's position, very important when it comes to when A&M didn't get wind of Texas and OU joining the SEC. Remember, you had a very green president in place, and Kathy Banks was just starting out with little to no experience in athletics at that time. And the president does matter. They are involved at the SEC level, and so is the chancellor, so is the athletic director. Stability in those positions matters in sports, but more importantly, it matters to your university. And if you look at since President Gates stepped down in, 06 or 07, so 16, 17 years ago, I think we've had 7 presidents. And I understand a couple of those are interims. One of the interims in Eddie Davis was a 2-year interim. So it's not that stat isn't as misleading as you think. You go, well, there's a couple of interims in there. Well, they served. I mean, you're about to go on to your 8th president since 06 or 07, whenever that was. So that's a wild amount of turnover at one of the couple of most important positions at one of the nation's largest universities and one of the nation's most respected universities. And as more and more of that takes place, don't be surprised when that respect starts to erode, because it matters. It impacts decisions. It impacts what goes on at this university, not just academically, but yes, even in sports as well.
Yeah, Billy, it's my understanding, and I know you're in Nashville as well, but it's my understanding that Ms. Banks met with the faculty senate, I think on Wednesday, and I guess she was discussing the whole incident and controversy, if you will, involving Kathleen McElroy, who decided not to, I guess, head up A&M's journalism program. And to your knowledge, was there any statement that was made at that meeting that might have influenced or
No, I don't know. I don't know a damn thing about it. And I just got the call that this was going to happen.
Okay.
As y'all know, I'm not real politically involved at the academic level here at A&M. I got my plate full with what I do, in terms of covering athletics. But I will say this: everything you just said. I mean, I don't think the timing is. I don't think the timing is a coincidence. Do you? I mean, that's just me talking, but it sure doesn't feel like it. So that seemed to be a very volatile, hot button, high profile issue that was going on. And yeah, I mean,
I know you wouldn't. I wouldn't expect you to know this.
Surprised.
But I wonder if she resigned out of frustration, or if she had been asked to resign.
I wonder the same. I wonder the same. I mean, I do think that it was direct, in my opinion, to whatever degree. And it could be, and there's a million ways you can go with it. Asked to resign. Well, was it because of that? No, but that was the last straw. Or yes, it was because, there's a lot that goes into that. But yeah, I think you'd be very naive, right, to think that it had nothing to do with what we saw taking place recently.
Billy,
one way or the other.
Sorry, go ahead, Billy.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Well, Billy, you know all things A&M. I know that keeping up with the academic part of A&M and other politics is not the first thing that you're paying attention to because you're running TexAgs. However, I know you know people. So is there anybody in mind that you think that they might that you would even guess that they might approach to say, okay, look, we need some stability. Who would be a great because you mentioned they've had so many changes at that position. This would be a great person to lead this university.
No. I'm sorry, Olin. You're trying to do a real interview here, and you're asking, like, this is like what I would do if we may as well pull Brawny in here to try to have him opine on things he knows nothing about. Best at that, but I say that I say that, by the way, because I'm hoping he's sitting back there listening right now. I know he's about to come on, but
maybe they should name Brawny.
Seriously though, we'll do what?
Maybe they should just name Brawny.
Yeah, name Brawny. We'll lift a lot of weight and be able to hit fungo. But no, I honestly, legit question. My main point of coming on right now was just because I kind of, was the one that said that this is coming down the pike because got wind of it here, but it also just my main takeaway from this is just disappointment in A&M, and I don't know who to direct this disappointment at. I think just everyone should wear it, but that they can't get it right in terms of stability again, and I don't know, there might be somebody listening that's in their head going, Billy, you don't know enough about this. The president's position isn't really that important. It's a figurehead. I don't believe that to be true at all. I know enough to know that's not true. And I know enough to know that long-term stability and strength at that position. I mean, we get somebody up there that's not any good and keep them there forever. That does you no good either. But I'm saying a good, strong university president that's in place for, I'm talking about, 7, 8, 10, dozen years, real long-term stability at that position, not the kind of turnover we've seen, which is insane, that Kathy Banks last just over 2 years, and it's just, there's a reason she was put in there. A lot of people thought she's very talented and good, and now look where we're at. So it's a real problem, in my opinion. That's kind of my main takeaway. I haven't done the digging, and I probably won't. We have people at TexAgs that will and do like doing that stuff, and they're going to do some of that. They've already been doing that this morning. So we'll find out more. But for now, that's just breaking news. Again, how much does it affect sports, which is what we generally sit here and talk about today or every day? Probably more so than you think. When you think about when you can get a really strong president and does not necessarily have to be athletics friendly, but just with a real understanding of how that machine works and what's best for A&M in that space. And when, that does matter. And I still go back and think of the turnover that was going on at A&M while Texas and OU were joining the SEC. And I just wonder how much fell through the cracks, even on the A&M side during that span. I don't know, but I just think, had you had stability there and someone with their, real finger on the pulse of what was going on, maybe A&M feels a little less left in the dark. And I don't even think that's Banks' fault. That's just someone. It's not the time you wanted someone brand new to the job without a deep background in athletics and in conference politics, if you know what I mean. So again, it does affect it. It does affect everything, but more importantly, it affects the university. At the end of the day, they call athletics the front porch, and that's fine. But the front porch isn't the whole house. The house is still more important than the front porch, and Texas A&M's reputation and what they're able to accomplish, in terms of, the university as a whole. Obviously, we all know how important that is. So hopefully they get this fixed. I will say this, just like with coaching hires, man, there's always I have respect for Kathy Banks. I think from day one, I thought she was a good hire. I had a lot of respect for her and the job she tried to do, but there's always an opportunity to upgrade. Every time something like this happens, every time a coach loses an assistant, every time every time you have to hire a new head coach, there's always an opportunity to upgrade. It's not a guarantee, but I think now more than ever, A&M needs to be patient and make a really strong hire at that spot, if possible.
listening to the Zone 1150 here, 93.7 FM as we roll through the top of the hour. Billy, is that all for now? We'll get you here in studio in about an hour or so.
Yeah, that's good. That's all I have to say on it. It's too much change at the top. That's my 1 sentence summary. Nothing, too poetic or too insightful there, but that's just the base, simple reality of this. That's all it is. That's simple.
Got it. Well, thank you, Billy. We'll get you here, like I said, in studio in about an hour. And OB, right. Thank you for finishing off the go out with me, and we'll be right back. This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. Water customers in the Wixon Creek District now have restrictions on outdoor watering. A Stage 2 notice has been issued. For Wixon Creek customers, their website states outdoor watering can be done one specific day per week that's associated with their street address, and only on that day between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Bryan police report a drunk driver crashed his car into the city's welcome sign at Texas and Rosemary. The crash on Wednesday night sent a passenger to the hospital where she underwent surgery for non-life-threatening injuries. The driver, 21-year-old Isaac Garcia of Bryan, taken to jail on a charge of intoxication assault causing serious bodily injury. Garcia not injured and no other vehicles were involved. Bryan police responding to a report of a reckless driver stops a pickup with 5 children riding in the bed and 2 more in the back seat who are unrestrained. The driver, 37-year-old Octavio Hernandez Diaz of Bryan, arrested for DWI with children under 15 in the truck. The children's ages range from 2 through 15. Diaz remains in jail at the Hold for Immigration authorities. The next step's been taken to create a real-time crime center at the Brazos County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Wayne Dickey says in addition to reaching out to law enforcement throughout the Brazos Valley, business owners will be asked to provide access to their video security systems. During the last county commission meeting, approval was given to a $229,000 contract for the purchase and installation of computers and software. Texas A&M's Faculty Senate holds a special meeting with the university president regarding A&M's handling of a University of Texas professor who decided against leading the Aggies' new journalism program.
Did Dr. McElroy provide any reasons why she rejected the offer that is still standing?
We have not been contacted directly by Dr. McElroy.
Catherine Banks repeatedly said the university issued only one offer, the one that McElroy signed. Banks also says A&M system lawyers have advised her to not reach out to McElroy due to the possibility of legal action. More news in English and Spanish is at WTAW.com. That's news on the Zone.
Chronic joint pain has a snowball effect. It's not just the pain.
What that did is just make me depressed that I couldn't get back into the gym, and I was inactive, gaining weight. I had to find another alternative.
And for Chad, that alternative was QC Kinetics and the non-surgical natural biologic treatments that can give lasting relief to aching hips, shoulders, knees, and backs.
Once they explained it, it made sense. Putting what we have inside our body back into us in a certain strategic way to heal up in a natural process was fantastic.
QC Kinetics treatments take place right in the office. No downtime, no surgery. And as for the outcome?
I'm just back to bouncing around, having fun, doing my work, living pain-free.
Don't let chronic joint pain rob you of your quality of life. Discover advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. Call now to learn more. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. 979-452-6000.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. According to the News Sentinel, Texas A&M defensive lineman Walter Olin is in the middle of the NCAA report outlined Friday about violations against Tennessee and former head football coach Jeremy Pruitt. Nolan's family allegedly accepted nearly $3,000 of impermissible benefits from Tennessee during a 4-day unofficial visit in October of 2020. Nolan was one of 6 players to take visits during the period. Defensive lineman and captain Fidel Diggs traveled to SEC Media Days this week and met with the media to discuss the upcoming season. He spoke about the process of being made team captain.
Just learning from the guys that came before me, learning how to lead. Just watching guys like Michael Clemens and DeMarvin, how they was leading, I took it and used it.
Diggs was also asked about the strong finish beating LSU to end the season last year.
Just the first, the whole week of practice, those guys, I would say they really got used to playing a lot of games because it was a long season for the young guys. And you look at it, the young guys, the ones that showed up and made a lot of plays in that game.
The Aggie football season will open September 2nd against New Mexico at Kyle Field. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
Each week on the Louie Bellina Show, we go in the pit with barbecue pit master Bryce Jones. In the Pit, brought to you by Dixie Tire Company. Need a certain brand of custom wheels, auto accessories, truck lift kits? You need a flat tire repaired, tire and wheel rotation, or more? It's Dixie Tire Company. Sure, we talk a little barbecue, but we talk maroon and white, Astros, and more. It's In the Pit each week on the Louie Bellina Show with barbecue pit master Bryce Jones.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Nick Savage here filling in for David Nuno on a Friday as he is still with his family in Colorado. Went from Nashville to Colorado, so he'll be back with us next week. A couple guest hosts next week as well. I'll be back with y'all on Monday. I believe Dalton is Tuesday and Bronny Wednesday. I might have those flip-flop, but either way,
you have them flip-flop.
Flip-flop, okay.
Brownie Tuesday, I got Wednesday.
Perfect. Thank you there, Dalton. But again, little weird segment here. We're off the clock, so we'll get it back on here in just 1 second, but want to reiterate the breaking news that came down that caused us to be off the clock. Texas A&M University President Catherine Banks resigned earlier today, just recently, and Texas A&M University system released a press release and came down that Chancellor John Sharp announced Dean Mark A. Welsh III as acting president after Catherine Banks submitted a letter late Thursday announcing she would retire immediately. And I'll go ahead and read that resignation letter here. Chancellor, first, thank you for the opportunity to serve at this wonderful university. It has been an honor of a lifetime. The recent challenges regarding Dr. McElroy have made it clear to me that I must retire immediately. The negative press is a distraction from the wonderful work being done here. I wish Texas A&M nothing but the best. It has been a privilege to serve under you, Kathy. So again, breaking news coming down there. At the very bottom of the hour, we heard from Billy Liucci gave his thoughts just recently. He'll be back in studio at the 10 o'clock hour. We'll go ahead and kind of give you a preview of what we got planned for the remainder of the program. We're going to have Bronny in studio from 9:35 to the bottom of the hour. We're going to do a little recruiting country, just get caught up on all the latest recruiting news since we haven't had, obviously we're in Nashville, so didn't have any chance to get into that this past Wednesday. And next segment, we'll have a little short around Aggieland with Kay Nagley, so looking forward to that. But right now, we'll go ahead and throw it to Tony Barnhart. Let's throw it to that one, Mr. College Football, giving his thoughts on the Aggies at SEC Media Days from Radio Row. Here's Tony Barnhart.
It's Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football, with us here to talk about the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year award and also his new book, The 19 of Green. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and I appreciate you asking about the Dodd Award. We're very proud to be a member of the board of directors for the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year Foundation, and the Dodd Trophy presented by PNC is a special Coach of the Year award. I mean, everybody's got to win. Everybody's got to win games. You understand that. But the Bobby Dodd, the Dodd Trophy, is special in that it's got an academic component to it. You have to, as a team, you have to have a 980 minimum APR to get on the watch list. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Willie Fritz. Yeah, Willie Fritz of Tulane was our winner last year. And we present the award on a campus, on an event on campus. And so about 10 of us flew to New Orleans to be a part of that dinner and bussed over to the campus, to the stadium there. And when we got to the stadium, Willie Fritz's entire team was there wearing their jerseys to greet us and show us around. So that
was a first?
Absolutely, that was a first. And that was really, really neat. So it's a very, very special Coach of the Year award, and I am very proud to have my name attached to it.
And last time we had you on, you talked to us a little bit about the book, but let's talk about the 19 of Green and how it all came together.
Well, fall of 1970, 800 million years ago.
All right.
I was a senior in high school at Greene County High School, which is located, if you're in Atlanta and you're getting on I-20 going to Augusta, when you're halfway there is where Greene County and Greensboro, Georgia is. And in the fall of 1970, and you guys are much too young to remember this, but back in the fall of 1970, there were people who were not real thrilled about the idea of black kids and white kids going to school together and playing football together and stuff like that. But the courts finally ruled, you've been dragging your feet since Brown versus Board of Education.
Yeah.
It's going to happen in the fall of 1970. So in the spring of 1970, our teams combined from the black school, Floyd T. Carey, white school, Greene County High School. We merged to form a football team. And when spring practice was over, we had all of 19 players.
Really?
19 players to go to work with. That's where the 19 comes from, the 19 of Greene, 19 of Greene County. We had a wonderful year. We won 7 out of our last 8 games, played for the region championship in an unforgettable year. But the story of the 19 of Greene is not about how many games we won. It's the fact that 52 years after we played our last game together, most of us stayed close.
Really?
One of my best friends in the world is our quarterback, Charles Turner, who came over from the black school, Floyd T. Carey, and he and I have remained friends for 52 years.
Wow.
That's the story of the 19 of Greene.
It's amazing how much time passed before something like that was even possible.
Yeah.
Friendships that last a lifetime that for the 100, 200 years previous that never even got a chance to take place.
Well, and here's the thing, Billy, is that Charles Turner, my teammate, and I grew up 3 miles apart.
Really?
Okay. I never met Charles Turner until we were both seniors in high school.
Wow.
So it just tells you what it was like back then.
That sounds like a great hell of a read right there.
Well, I appreciate it.
And that'll be out.
It'll be out in October. University of Georgia Press. If you like the idea, you can pre-order. You can go to Amazon.com and do a pre-order, but it'll be on the shelves in October.
Tony, anything stand out from Kirby earlier today?
Not really. You knew he was going to get the question, but I thought he addressed that early on.
Yeah.
It's been a tough stretch for Georgia. I mean, two children lost their lives, and that it's a situation where they don't have a manual that you go through, but Georgia is doing. I think they're doing the best they can do, and we'll see. And Kirby, listen. The thing about Kirby is he understands the unique challenge that's in front of his team. There's a reason that nobody has really won 3 in a row. Minnesota, okay, 36.
Yeah.
A coach, a national championship that you've never heard of. But to do it once is hard. To do it twice is impossible. To do it 3 times in a row is incredibly impossible. But having said all of that, Georgia is talented enough to win it all again.
Yeah, I think, yeah. To me, I look at what Georgia's doing right now, and somebody had to go through Alabama.
Yep.
For how long have we been saying this? I mean, before we started coming in and covering the SEC,
right?
You guys have been saying that. The way Georgia's done it has been incredibly impressive. And to lose to Alabama the way they did, to start that thing off and still just plow through it, you can't be more impressed with the results on the field.
Well, people forget about the 2017 national championship where Tua throws the touchdown in overtime to beat Georgia. Georgia was certainly in a position to win that game, but I'll never forget what Kirby Smart said after that game. He said, "This is not the end. This is the beginning, and we will be back."
What is it about to Aggie fans listening? Because unfortunately, A&M's played Georgia one time in 11 years. The Bulldogs have not come to Kyle Field yet, and I'll ask you about that in a second, scheduling. But what is it about Kirby that has allowed him to take that program to, I know they won it back in, 80? 81. When did Georgia win?
Georgia won their
83.
Georgia won their last national championship in 1980, Herschel Walker's freshman year.
Yep. So because that's always been a talent-rich state program, all steeped in tradition. What is it about Kirby Smart that allowed him to take that to the next level?
Well, think about this. Go back. Mark Richt was the head football coach at Georgia for 15 years. He averaged 10 wins a year for 15 years. But Georgia knew they weren't going to get to where they wanted to go. They were good, they were good almost every year, and Mark Richt recruited a slew of great quarterbacks to come through Georgia. But they knew a couple of things happened. They knew they were going to need something extra to get to that second level. And quite honestly, the honest answer is if Georgia doesn't hire Kirby Smart when they hire him, today he's the head football coach at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Because that was going to happen.
Wow.
And so they made one of the Greg McGarity, who's a classmate of mine at Georgia, the longtime athletic director, has told me many times of all the tough decisions he had to make as athletic director at Georgia, making that switch and hiring Kirby Smart and saying goodbye to Mark Richt was by far the toughest decision he ever made. But it turns out, obviously, it was the right decision.
Literally kind of it's now or never moment.
Tony, sum up your thoughts on A&M. I believe that you aren't super high on, but you think the potential's there. Am I correct on that?
The potential's there, and Billy and I have had a lot of conversations about what it's going to take to get there. But it all starts with recruiting. Well, you have to. Texas A&M's recruited well, so now it starts with quarterback play, and it starts with making the right and closing and learning how to close out games. That's a big part of what Georgia has done well under Kirby Smart. Obviously, all the elements are there. So I'm like, as you guys are, I am anxious I call it the grand experiment. By bringing Bobby Petrino in to call the plays and how's it going to work, and what do you do? You're gonna have a rough spot. It's inevitable. So how do you handle the rough spots? Mm-hmm. And I've seen coaches go through this, and so I'm anxious to see. And you guys got Miami like the second week, right?
Yeah, big one, and Auburn a couple weeks after.
That's a big game. Mario Cristobal's done a good job of
they attacked the portal. I think they've hired a couple good coordinators. Right. Pate was just sitting here talking about it too. It's such a litmus test for this A&M team early. It really is. And you lose the game, man, that looks scary now going in the SEC. But the one thing I don't think we've talked about, and I'd love to see this, Tony, from A&M, is come out early in the year and go to Miami and win impressively and make some eyeballs and go, oh, wow. I mean, I don't think you and I have even talked about that possibility, but go in there and do that, and then maybe the whole tone and tenor starts to change really quickly.
Well, that's what's going to be so neat about expanding the playoffs and stuff like that. You now can feel comfortable. Hey, let me go play somebody really good at the beginning of the season. Even if we lose, we're still in good shape. And if we win, we get a lot of confidence from it. So I am very pleased. I'm looking forward to the 12-team playoff because I think it's going to impact scheduling in a really good way, that we've got more quality non-conference games early in the year. So.
Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart, thank you so much, and make sure everybody checks out the book coming out in October. The 19 of Green, and, of course, the Dodd Trophy watch list. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Always good to be with you.
Always, buddy. Thanks, Tony.
You bet.
And there was Tony Barnhart with David Nuno and Billy Liucci on Radio Row at SEC Media Days. On the other side, we're going to get to Around Aggieland with Kay Negley. That's up next on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Enjoy a great meal and support a great cause. The Bryan College Station Tip-A-Cop 2023 fundraiser being held Monday, July 24th through Thursday, July 27th at Texas Roadhouse. Officers will be accepting cash, checks, and credit card donations. Registration is still open for the Arts Council of Brazos Valley Youth Summer Camps program. Visit acbv.org for more information and to sign up. The next Bush Library movie night is Friday, August 11th, featuring Little Giants. Games and snacks begin at 7. The movie starts at sundown. The Brazos Valley Veterans Memorial Board is accepting applications to add military veteran names to the Wall of Honor. The veteran may be living, deceased, or active and does not have to be a Brazos Valley resident. Visit bvvm.org for more information. Every Tuesday at 1:55 on the Louis Bellina Show, meet the mascot of the week with Long Way Home Adoptables, and thanks to Waggy Pet Zone. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Time to go to South Beach. I love me a little Miami. You guys know that. David Nuno here talking about our friends at the Association of Former Students. That traveling Aggies trip to Miami is going to be fun. If you want a weekend at a South Beach hotel with a group of other Aggies, if you got tickets to the game, and you want special access to a tailgate and more, you need to look no further than the Traveling Aggies Miami Football Weekend, September 8th through the 10th. It's going to be a fun weekend. Watch the Aggies destroy Miami. That's right. Beat the hell out of the Miami Hurricanes with this 3-day, 2-night weekend package that includes hotel accommodations at a Hyatt-centric South Beach, Miami, just steps away from the restaurants and bars where you can see OB doing some keg stands and rave partying, an evening welcome event and tour, access to the official Traveling Aggies pregame tailgate, round-trip transportation to the game, and more. It's the Association of Former Students program that hosts over 70 trips a year, including cruises, safaris, tours by trains, and a wide variety of other affordable options. If you're interested, visit tx.ag/Miami Trip 23 or learn more about all the trips from the Traveling Aggies, tx.ag/Traveling Aggies.
The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
Tyler Conklin, Jets tight end with us.
Bringing Aaron in and how you are outside of football is going to help on the football field, right? If life's good outside of football, if you're happy outside of football, I think he's excited to be in New York, and I think that's going to directly carry over to him playing good football.
Wyndham Clark, 2023 U.S. Open champion, joining us.
It's still a little surreal. Just got off a plane about 3 hours ago, and I'm here now. So it's been a whirlwind.
The great Rick Fox, ladies and gentlemen, 3-time NBA champ.
I think he's going to move and let Florida Trailblazers just get the value for him, move him on to greener pastures, do him a favor by moving off of him, and get a bunch of picks and a bunch of players.
Atlanta Hawks assistant coach and former Notre Dame basketball coach Mike Bray.
23 South Bend winners. I'm in Atlanta now. I think this is going to work. I'm into this.
Listen in to ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio, 1150 and 93.7 FM.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And of course, to do that, we got Kay Nagley. Kay, who was that intro song? Who was that?
Who
the
was
band.
That?
Name me the band.
Oh, God. Don't do this to me. They also didn't say a word.
So?
I should know that.
Yes, you should recognize it by the riff. Definitely.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Nick. I
the
can't.
Eagles.
Really?
The Eagles, Life in the Fast Lane. Yeah.
My parents love the Eagles, so they're gonna be very disappointed.
I think I've met your dad once. He seems like a Eagles connoisseur.
I guess I just know the way too basic stuff, unfortunately.
Taylor Swift. Yeah. Thank goodness we didn't come back with that.
Whatever.
Is Kennedy over there?
She's chattering.
Hey, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was talking to our friend back here.
Who's our friend?
It's my imaginary friend.
I was about to say.
No, I'm joking. It's Cade, the intern.
Oh, okay. Cool.
He has to do cameras.
Nice. Well, anyways, what were you doing while we were in Nashville? I know you were just as busy as we were.
Man,
so fill the folks in.
It was a week. Basically, for those of you who don't know, managing a lot of the different content. Obviously, Richard Zane's our managing editor. But I was helping along right side him this week. Had so much content, so many interviews. Y'all killed it up there, especially you. I heard you were booking all these guests and
being a weirdo,
going out of your comfort
stalker.
zone. Just
yeah.
Like, can I borrow you? Can I grab you? Yeah. I would have loved to see that.
You want me to give you the pitch?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
let's go for it.
Let's say you're walking by here.
Yeah.
And here you are, Mr. Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at our table with my headphones on, and he walks by. Whatever. No matter what's going on, David be talking. I take off my headset, go follow him, touch whoever it is, say, hey, Mr. Feinbaum, Nick Savage with TexAgs. We'd love to get you on the show if you got a few minutes. And normally they'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll come back and get me. Paul was the big fish I reeled in. He, every time I spoke to him, was like, yeah, I just need to figure out when. And we finally figured it out on Thursday. But everyone super nice. Walk right up to him and they chat, but yeah,
that's awesome.
That's what it looked like.
Got to be some big names.
Pretty embarrassing. I think we got pretty much like everybody we wanted.
On it, like literally looking back at the content from this week. I mean, we had just hired a new social media
Katie
content creator, Katie. So me and her have been working to put out a lot of different reels and stuff. So if you don't follow us on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, make sure to go do that because we've been pumping out content lately on there. Plug. I am plugging because we've been working away, but y'all did a great job getting guests for us.
Of course. So I guess we should do the business. What's going on around Aggieland?
So as we said, SEC Media Days were this past week, and Jimbo Fisher, Anaya Smith, McKinley Jackson, and Fadil Diggs did an amazing job representing Texas A&M this week. And along with all of our coverage, make sure to check that out on the site. I know we have a ton of it.
Plug number 2.
Different big guests and stuff. And then also football season is just right around the corner. And we got official word that players will report on August 1st. So that is not next Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. And we are just 43 days away from Aggie football. So under that 50-day mark, it's starting to feel like it's nearing, especially with all the SC Media Day storylines we had going on. It's an exciting time. So moving on to some men's basketball news, Buzz Williams has announced a charity softball game in support of Buzz's Bunch, a program with the primary objective of helping children with special needs to come together socially, hopefully, and also falling in love with sports. So basically, you can get your first look of the 2023-2024 Aggies at this charity softball game benefiting Buzz's Bunch. This is the first ever softball game that they will play. Will be hosted at Davis Diamond on August 4th at 6 p.m. Admission to the event is $5, so you could just walk in and go support Buzz and the crew over there. Buzz has always been great about doing stuff like that, so it's awesome to see. Also have some women's golf news. Jared Chadwell and his squad unveiled their 2023-2024 schedule that was announced yesterday. Just want to run through that schedule real quick. They will start off with the Carmel Cup in Pebble Beach, California. We'll head to the Annika Intercollegiate in Minnesota, the Stevens Cup in Dallas, East Lake Cup in Georgia, Puerto Rico Classic, that should be a good one in Puerto Rico, the Moon Golf Invitational, Icon Invitational, Mountain View Collegiate, Clemson Invitational, and then finally SEC Championships before they can maybe make some noise in the postseason. And then also some track and field news. They will have 4 representatives in the U20 North American, Central American, and Caribbean Athletics Association Championships that will be held on July 21st to the 23rd at San Jose National Stadium. We will have 4 Aggies there. That includes a trio of current students in Connor Schulman, Jermisha Arnold, and they will be representing the U.S. And then Heather Abadi will be representing Canada. And then finally, a incoming student athlete, Abigail Martin, will be representing Jamaica. Just also want to give another countdown on some different sports because we have some other sports starting before football kicks off. Just 29 days until Jamie Morrison and his crew get kicked off over there at Reed Arena with their first match, and then 27 days until Coach G and soccer are back as well. So under the 30-day mark for
right
a lot of this. I mean, we're here, we're approaching. It's still hot outside, but it's starting to fall's coming back.
That's crazy that the football reports August 1st, and that's when things really get crazy and get serious around here at least. But yeah, that's awesome.
Fall ball should be right after, and it'll be interesting.
Yeah, is that everything?
Yep, that's all I got.
How many home runs do you think Buzz Williams is going to hit?
Oh man, that's a good one.
He's thrown out some deadlift numbers before on the show.
Buzz is like, he could. Man, that's a good question.
Small field. I'm gonna go 3.
Davis Diamond. I was gonna say around
2.5.
I was gonna say, do you think a player could top Buzz? And if so, who?
Henry Coleman.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all huge, so you figure their swings would just
like he's low key a sleeper pick. I could see Boots just knocking him out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. On the other side, we'll get into a little bit of recruiting country with Ryan Brauninger. Get to catch up with him. Didn't get it this past Wednesday, so we'll get it on a Friday. A little treat there. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
David and OB.
Not getting killed, he's getting mad.
David and OB on TexAgs Radio.
Now bust this guy's teeth out.
Right now we're talking Milliken Reserve. Farm-to-table community. They're in College Station. They got homes. They got trails. They got wide open spaces. And their mission is to build a healthy community around nature, and they have done that without a doubt. They connect families to nature and to each other. They have an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths out there, creeks and ponds and gatherings. It's a really great area for families just to connect with each other. There's nothing like going on a family walk, throwing the ball out in the front yard, nothing like just being in nature, seeing the awesome animals that they have out there in Milliken Reserve, like the white-tailed deer. They've got it all, and it's certainly a place you want to go see the rabbits, the turtles, the songbirds, and then homeowners at Milliken Reserve. By the way, you don't have to be a homeowner there. I highly recommend the area, but if you're not a homeowner there, you can still go out there. And but if you are a homeowner, you know that you're going to come back to the same pristine countryside place every single year. That's what they do there. They continue to bring it back. Make sure you check out the website, get a little bit more info on how you can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, the summer camps, all the good stuff that they have there at Milliken Reserve. It is millikenreserve.com. Again, millikenreserve.com.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and Aggie broadcast sponsors, Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Cherry Rafino with Coldwell Banker Apex Realty, and Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living. Here's a big gig to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Are you looking for investment options that potentially outpace today's high inflation environment? Concerned about recent banking failures or the volatility of the stock and crypto markets? Call Caliber to learn how you can invest in commercial real estate investments right here in Bryan College Station that support the community while producing real returns for investors. Caliber, the wealth development company, partnering with the community to build a better tomorrow. 979-977-2950. That's 979-977-2950. The investments and services offered may not be suitable for all investors. You should seek advice from an independent financial advisor.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
Nickels and dimes, memories and wine. She's on his mind.
And welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Schulers. We're inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it's time for Recruiting Country presented by Caprock Health System, a faster, patient-centered revolution in care with 2 ERs in the BCS, the original 24-hour emergency room in South College Station on William D. Fitch, the full-service hospital with an ER in Bryan on Briarcrest, and online at caprockhealthsystem.com. Got Ryan Brauninger, TexAgs recruiting analyst, in studio. Bronny, what's up? How you been?
Good morning. Did you see that there was a thread on the message board talking about the title of it was David Nuno?
Yes, that was.
And it was just people heaping praise on Nuno, and well-deserved praise. David does a great job and has earned some time off. But there were a few people that were commenting about how they hate when
gym
David
talk.
Gym talk.
Oh, yeah.
To start Recruiting Country. So I want to ask you, what do you got in the gym today?
Well, Bronny, if you can't tell, I'm sure everyone at home can. I haven't worked out in quite a bit,
Well, no,
but that doesn't
you're still
mean
in great
I can't,
shape.
I can't talk about the gym.
Well, and
because
for people that don't know, when Nick used to be a big boots wearer in here, cowboy boots. I'm
Still
sure,
am.
you go back in the fall. I'm sure you'll go back to your jeans and boots, and you fly up and down these stairs in your boots. And like, guy doesn't sweat. I'd be breathing hard, and he is just up and down 100 times.
For whatever reason, that really impressed you, my mobility in cowboy boots.
Yes, and you can do a full sit in a squat with your heels on the ground in cowboy boots and jeans.
Yeah, I mean,
that's something I'll never do. Like, I was coaching a baseball game yesterday.
Okay.
My kids were stretching, and they were talking about how flexible or unflexible they were. And they're like, Coach, can you touch your toes? I was like, if you cut them off and hand them to me. It's the only way I can do it. But so I'm always impressed by feats of flexibility.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. In about 2 weeks, I get my house. I'll move into a house with a full-size garage. My gym will be back to its former glory. And so I have been using that day or that timeline to say, okay, no more scrawny little skinny Nick. We're
Is
back.
that when Richard and Dalton will be joining?
And yeah, if you want to come on, let's do it. Let's
tarps
listen
off
to some,
or tarps on in there?
Well, it's
whatever you feel.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever, user discretion. But
Good.
we'll listen to some puppy killing music as you describe it, and we'll lift some
Good.
heavy
I may
weights.
have to schedule a session if it's not too expensive.
Nice.
All
No,
right.
it's always free. But hey, before we get into any recruiting, do you have any takeaways from SEC Media Day? Were you paying attention to it at all?
You know, the talking season stuff really just I've been in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I drove back, and then been doing baseball this week too. So obviously, and then covering A&M's new pitching coach and kind of figuring out what A&M baseball is doing in the portal, along with what the actual football recruiting is going to be, look like at the end of the month with the pool party coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay a ton of attention. I saw people taking Jimbo's words about the offensive coordinator search and either losing their mind or the opposite direction, saying it's not a big deal. And I said, I'm not diving into that again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how many times does Billy have to tell y'all that Petrino's going to call the plays, yet you want to look for every – I mean, I get it. Like, what else is there to do right now in July? But no, I didn't pay too much attention to it, man. That's not an event. I'm not covering it. It's not part of my job responsibilities here. So I'll leave it for all those people in the back. But I will say that I was really impressed with the content that came out of it. I love some of the interviews. I did watch the interview with Marty Smith that
He's
David
awesome.
did. He was great. It seemed like Billy made a bunch of the rounds, and I just seen on our social medias and the cuts on Instagram and the reels and all that kind of stuff. The content seems like coming out was very good and very well done. But in terms of the actual content of the content, like what are they talking about, I didn't intake much of that.
Well, then let's get into what your job description is, a little bit of recruiting. We briefly touched on it Monday. You'll have to remind me when he committed, but Refugio athlete Ernest Campbell committed to A&M. Like I said, we kind of briefly touched on it Monday in Nashville, but I feel like we maybe haven't given him
it was a Saturday before.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah. There you go.
And look, it's when you got a talented roster like A&M's got, and we say this a lot with the defensive line, is like, they went and took something different last year in Samu Tamanu Pepe, right? Just something that they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
This receiving core, what you've got on campus, and then what you got in the recruiting class with a big physical top, maybe the top receiver in the country in Cam Coleman committed, the best pure football player in the state of Texas in Draylen Miller committed, and then a guy with super high upside in Jalen Hornsby, but again, like long 6'2", 6'3" kind of guy. You go and get something that you don't have. That'd be a great haul in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And Ernest, he's going to play receiver, but it's like more of like an athlete role. It's something that you don't have. It's Devon A-chain speed that's more comfortable lining up outside at receiver and doing more things, outside of the tackle box, where Devon was most of his touches came from, in the backfield. And I know they threw it, but he'd start in the backfield so often.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that in his career has done everything. He's done stuff in the backfield. He's played slot receiver. He's played outside receiver. He's played kick returner, punt returner. It's like an Anais Smith background with a more Devon A-chain skill set. Now, he's not as sturdy as Devon. He's a lot more slight, and he's at the gain a little bit of weight. But I mean, the just pure unadulterated speed and kind of stick him in different areas of your offense and see what kind of mismatch you can work. I think that was what was so intriguing about him for Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher, and why they felt like even with the group of receivers that they've got and what they've got coming in the recruiting class, they felt like he was a must-add kind of player because of that speed.
So looking at the class right now, 18 total commits. I feel like this is more of a question more towards the back end of the cycle, but just is there kind of a number that might be the target goal, or is it just...
in past years we would be a little bit more definitive about the total number.
Mm-hmm.
23. We think it's going to be around 27, right? I think now we're more generic in a range because of what the transfer portal has turned into.
Yeah.
and how you supplement your roster using that. So the lifeblood of a program will always be high school recruiting, and your majority of your class should be through the high school ranks, especially if you're in the 6th year of a coaching staff. But it gets a little murkier when you're looking at final numbers because, you don't know what you're going to lose off your roster and what you're like the areas you're going to need immediate help in.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll know what that looks like in January. So how many scholarships do you hold until then to go attack the transfer portal? Or even not even January. You could start talking about that in December.
Yeah.
As guys start making their way in and out of places across the country. So I think it'll be between 25 and 30. And look, this is the way that it's going to happen. It happens every recruiting cycle. It wouldn't surprise me if they lose a couple. I'm not thinking of anybody in specifically right now, but the way the recruiting ebbs and flows go, and doing this for so long, like you got 18 kids committed. Are you going to sign all 18 of those? The percentages say no. It's like somebody's going to back away, or maybe a couple back away. But you're also, with the end of the summer recruiting event coming up, which the pool party has been just such a huge hit for A&M since Jimbo's been here. You're also putting yourself in a position to start getting back into races that for guys that we haven't spoken a bunch about because it was, A&M was kind of gone and forgotten in those recruiting battles. And you're going to get a couple of them back on campus next week, or you're expecting to. I always preface these summer visits with this is what we are expecting, because when it gets down to the day of or the night before, the kids may change their mind, and they could have been telling Oklahoma that they're going to be headed there for the last 2 weeks, and then the day of, they decide, I don't want to drive all the way to Norman. I'm going to go to College Station. I'm going to go to Austin, Baton Rouge, whatever. And the same works when you're talking about kids coming to A&M. So we are expecting a guy like Micah Hudson to show up, but I would think that he's getting pulled on every which direction to go to everybody's recruiting event that's holding one that weekend. But we're expecting Colin Simmons to show up. He's supposed to be at LSU the day before. You don't think the folks in Baton Rouge are going to try to keep him from coming to College Station on his way back to Dallas? So regardless of like those specific ones, we are anticipating a very impressive group of players heading to campus next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Ryan Brauninger here on Recruiting Country on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So I guess just kind of, if you don't mind, just talk a little bit more about that pool party and just what exactly does it look like, and maybe if there are some other names to expect or look out for. Just
yeah, I mean, we've been putting out some 5-star names. Ryan Wingo's a receiver out of St. Louis. Bobby Petrino coached his older brother at Arkansas, so there's some familiarity there. A&M has been, it's one of those kids I was saying, A&M's been kind of forgotten about in that race. Is this going to be the weekend where A&M makes a huge surge? And you say, well, it's a long shot, and it is. But what have we seen since Jimbo's been here, especially with that pool party? You go back to that 2022 class, Walter Nolan was never even being discussed at Texas A&M. He shows up for the pool party, and they sign him. Shamar Stewart was a kid that A&M was playing from way, way behind. Shows up to the pool party, and they sign him. So are there going to be those type of kids in this recruiting cycle that are heading to campus next week where A&M has got ground to make up and they ultimately sign them? There's precedent that there will be. Terry Bussey is a huge target out of East Texas and Timpson. Some services have him rated as a 5-star, number 1 athlete in the state. I think A&M's done a fantastic job there. They're going to get him back on campus, and I think he'll make a preseason decision. And I think having all those commits that have been kind of tugging on him through text message, through social media for a while, having them on campus with him, I think is only going to further A&M's standing there. And then, do they get a guy like Papa Afua from Washington State? Do they get him to make the trip across the country and show up? Because I think that's much like Walter Nolan and Shamar Stewart when you're making those long journeys for these trips. And I'm not saying that the trip from Knoxville or the trip from Miami is comparable to Seattle. I mean, that's a big commitment, though, right? So if that kid shows up to the pool party, you're going to go, okay, just the fact that he showed up should indicate to a lot of people where A&M sits in this recruitment. And Maybe they get a guy like Blake Ivy who doesn't do a ton of media, doesn't do a bunch of talking, has played most of his recruitment kind of below the social media line in terms of being out there. Does he show up? Because that was a kid that they had created a ton of momentum with. We felt like he could jump in the boat at any moment at one point, and now it seems like he's maybe taking a step back and looking at everything. But A&M's still right there amongst his leaders, and if he shows up, what happens there with a kid that you really don't know, what he's thinking, because he hasn't let a lot of people in on his process. Is that a kid that could jump on board before the season? And that would be, I know that makes Steve Adazio and Jimbo Fisher do flips over there because he's such a highly regarded kid on their board. But I'm looking forward to it. It's always one of the more fun weekends of the year to cover just because there's so much buzz around it because of what they've created in the past. And it's one of our most viewed threads per year.
Yeah.
Like I think the 2022 pool party was like a 1.7 million views over 72 hours kind of thing.
That's pretty insane. We're talking to Ryan Brauninger here in Recruiting Country, presented by Caprock Health. We'll take a break. On the other side, a little bit more. This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Brazos Valley Museum of Natural History invites you to join their annual live butterfly release on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. Supplies are limited, so call the museum to reserve your spot today. Cowboy Fellowship of Aggieland welcomes the community to celebrate National Day of the Cowboy this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Chuck Wagon biscuits, cowboy coffee, and lemonade will be served. Happy birthday to the Brazos Valley African American Museum. Come celebrate 17 years on Saturday from noon to 4. Visit the museum for free admission, refreshments, and book giveaways. You're invited to the Fun for All Bowl-a-thon, benefiting the Fun for All Playground on Saturday, August 19th at Grand Station Entertainment. Register your team today. Find more information at funforallplaygroundbcs.com. Go in the pit with Bryce Jones on the Louis Bellina Show each week, thanks to Dixie Tire Company, serving Bryan College Station for 35 years. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
We're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Great deals on the website that change month to month. Go check out that website right now. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, or if you think you're going to be in the market for a new vehicle this summer, just go take a look, see what they got. They got great stuff, right? Great pricing, great vehicles, and get a sense for where things are in the market. And then when you're ready to take the next step, you go out there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, and you're like, I want to take a look at that Tahoe I saw online. All right, sir, well, we got this Tahoe, but we also have this Suburban, and we got this, and we got that. Take a look. Enjoy the great customer service and the atmosphere there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Find out the trade-in value that you might be getting on a new vehicle. All those things are a major hit when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's about a 15-minute drive. Brian Caldwell, a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference. We're up on the lot and do business with the fellows there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com.
Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. From Columbia, 47 brand, Yeti, Dooney & Burke, and Adidas, we're able to outfit you for every occasion. Visit Maroon U and our family of companies on Holloman Drive in College Station to shop the latest in brand name Aggie merchandise. Shop Maroon U today, voted best in the Brazos' best gift shop since 2016. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U.
Looking for the Zone prize rules? Would you like to apply for a job at the Zone? Or need a phone number or email for the Zone? Visit zone1150.com. Would you like to sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter? Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Or would you like to see the Zone's daily schedule? Visit zone1150.com. For more information, any questions, to contact us for everything and anything about the Zone, visit zone1150.com.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno. Ryan Brauninger here with me. We're rolling on with Recruiting Country. Are you a big Zach Brown Band fan?
I do like Zach Brown Band. And one of my favorite I go through like YouTube video phases. Okay. And I like to watch acoustic shows on YouTube. They've got an acoustic performance of Homegrown.
That's what was just playing.
Was it? Oh, I love it.
That's weird.
Great song. And if you can go online and just go to YouTube and search Zach Brown Band, acoustic Homegrown.
Mm-hmm.
They're all sitting around a fire. It's really, really good.
That is cool. Yeah. All right. Continuing on here with some recruiting country. So 18 commits, like we mentioned, 10 of those out-of-state guys. I asked Jason Howell last time I was hosting about it, just how have the staff over there just been able to go out of state and get guys from all over the country? It feels like east, west, north, south. Just how has that come together for them?
I think it goes back to one of the things that Jimbo Fisher said when he was hired, that people talk a lot about A&M, but you really don't know what it is until you get here. And now with all the construction going on and it's starting to take shape, then it's not just renderings anymore. Like I can start to put all this stuff into my own vision. And there all the things that go with being recruited by A&M that we know about, and like the benefits of becoming an Aggie and being part of the network. They've done a great job of selling that across the country. And then, I go and speak to these A&M clubs in various places and, tell them, I was like, I don't think you guys probably don't realize this in your day-to-day, but you own businesses and own companies, and you're part of the A&M football sales pitch.
Yeah.
And because you're part of the network that goes out and makes sure these guys are getting hired in their fields whenever football's done and over with. So they've done a great job with their messaging, especially over the last few months. They did a great job hosting the visitors when they come in. It seemed like they really started to turn a page early in the summer, late in the spring, in terms of just the efficiency with which the visits, on-campus visits, were being run. And you've seen them capitalize on some of these kids when they come into campus and shortly after they're committing to A&M. So that clearly tells you that they're doing something right. But going forward, I think it'll continue to be a mix of in-state and out-of-state until they get to the number they want. We've talked a lot about the in-state guys that they're after, but there's still plenty of guys that from across the country that they would like to see in the class. Dominic McKinley's a defensive lineman out of Lafayette, Louisiana. Nate Frazier's a running back out of California. These are two guys that are at the very, very top of their board, high 4-star, 5-star rated prospects that A&M's right in the mix for, and will continue to be right up through signing day unless these kids, they jump off and do something ahead of time. But right now, A&M's in a position that, I don't know that I would say that they're definitely going to sign both of those kids specifically, but they certainly could.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Ryan Brauninger here on Recruiting Country. So you just mentioned a couple out-of-state names to keep an eye on. Are there any in-state names that we haven't really touched on yet to keep an eye on?
Kobe Black is a kid that we haven't talked a lot about. That's another one that A&M seems like they've been playing from behind on for quite a while, from Waco Connolly. We'll see if he shows up. I'm not 100% expecting him to be on the visitor list, but crazier things have happened. He's just right up the road. Ain't going to take him long to get here if he decides he wants to come. Colin Simmons, another one A&M has been thought to be well behind. I think they can get back in it, and I think slowly but surely they are. Caden Durham, running back from Duncanville. We mentioned Blake Ivy. Who am I missing here? Hold on. By the way, me and Jason were on the phone for about an hour and 20 minutes yesterday, updating rankings and even starting our 2026 watch list. So That's how far ahead that we're looking at. Micah Hudson, we talked a lot about. Nigel Smith, I think A&M is right up there with him, the defensive lineman out of Melissa. That's an interesting one. That was one that Terry Price had played a really prominent role in early on in the kids' recruitment. And they've seemingly transitioned into Elijah Robinson and DJ Durkin taking over that one. But and I'm not saying that they've fallen off at all in that recruitment. I just think Nigel's kind of weighing his options, but A&M's certainly in the discussion. Xavier Atkins, at a linebacker at Humble Summer Creek, committed to LSU. I think that one's going to go for a while. I don't think he's going to decommit from LSU, but I do think that A&M, he's more open to – he's committed to LSU, which is what we'd call a soft commit, right? I would put the percentages that he signs with LSU about the same as I would put that he signs with A&M or even Arkansas at this point. But, yeah, those are some big ones. Josh Lair's a safety out of Fort Bend Marshall. A&M offered. They haven't made a huge push for yet, but you know kind of how A&M's relationship with those kids at Fort Bend Marshall, if they decide to step on the gas pedal there, that would be one that I could see them get squarely in the mix on. Ori Williams and Bennett Warren, two offensive linemen from in the state. A&M is, continues to kind of jockey for position 4, and as offensive line classes across the country and across the state kind of take shape, we'll see kind of how those go. But yeah, and there's a handful, probably 5, 6, 7 kids in state that I think A&M is they're either right in the mix for right now and battling hard for, or they've got pins in to kind of see how these kids perform early in their senior season to determine, okay, do we really need to make a push here?
All right. Well, that's Ryan Brauninger. Thank you, Bronny, for
thank
stopping
you.
by.
Yep.
This is TexAgs Radio. On the other side, we'll hear from Billy Liucci for a full hour to close out this Friday edition of TexAgs Radio. We'll see you in a minute.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and services Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Razors, Global Electric Cars, Brutus, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.
Reading is Fundamental, the nation's largest children's literacy organization, invites you to rally our children to read. Visit rallytoread.org and help your child pledge to read 100 books by National Reading Month in March. Watch popular authors read their books, find activities to keep young readers motivated, and teachers can enter the Rally to Read sweepstakes for a chance to win 100 books for their school, subject to rules. Inspire your child to read. Visit rallytoread.org today.
Want to listen online? Not sure of the prize rules? Would you like to learn more about your favorite host? Go now to zone1150.com. Zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan, Aggieland's home for sports.